setup today. This is my first video in a while. Things have been a little bit crazy, but today I thought that I would share some of my favorite money saving tips for your trip to Walt Disney World. I was a cast member at Walt Disney World for about 3 years or so before I changed careers. And so over that time I came up with a few small tips for ways to save money. It's nothing earth-shattering, it's nothing amazing, but I thought that I would share them just in case they might benefit someone, because every little bit of money saving adds up. So the first tip that I have for you is something that you would do before you leave home. If you are a member at one of those bulk warehouse stores like Costco or Sam's Club, or I don't even know what other ones are out there. I know that there's a bunch though. A lot of times you can get gift cards from them at discounted prices. So for example, maybe there's like a $90 gift card. You could spend $80 and get the $90 gift card, which doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it can add up. And they do sell Disney gift cards there. So I mean, $10 worth of saving. If you get a couple of those, that's a lot of savings, and you can still use them at the parks for the full face value. If you don't have a membership to one of those warehouse stores, that's okay, because Target usually around Christmas time will do a similar thing. They usually have a bunch of promotions in the weeks between Black Friday and Christmas, and usually, at least in the past, they would have a day or a couple days where you could get a gift card and you would pay less than what the face value price would be. I don't know for sure if they're planning on doing it this year, but in past Christmas seasons, I've picked up an extra side job at Target, for some extra holiday money, and I remember it always happened then, so I'm assuming that it will happen this year and in future years. But that would be a good thing to do, because if the gift card is for $90, you're not paying the full $90, but then when you go to Disney, you can spend the full $90. So again, not a ginormous savings, but it can add up over time, and that can help you save some money. The second tip that I have for you, when you go to Walt Disney World, if you have transportation, in order to leave the immediate Disney area, there is an outlet mall that's really close to Disney World. It's really close to Disney Springs. If you're familiar with the college program, it's you would get to it by heading to the Patterson and Chatham housing for CPs. And anyway, there is a store called Character Warehouse. They do have these in other outlet malls throughout the US, so you might want to do a search for Character Warehouses near you, to see if you could potentially go to one closer, before you're actually at Disney World. But the thing that I like about Character Warehouse is that it's usually a lot of merchandise that Disney didn't sell, and so it's surplus, or it might be from a holiday or an event that has passed. It's similar in price to what cast members have access to through Cast Connection. The prices might be slightly higher at Character Warehouse than Cast Connection, but considering that at Cast Connection you have to have a cast member purchase it for you, as opposed to anyone can go to Character Warehouse, so it's a nice deal for those that don't have access to the special cast member areas. I've gotten a lot of great things there in the past. Sometimes the prices are really cheap. I know that sometimes they have Loungefly bags there from previous seasons. So if you're a Loungefly collector and you're going to be in the Disney World area and you're going to have transportation to get off property, definitely check out Character Warehouse, because you can get some great merchandise for super discounted. The third tip that I have is, so tip number 3, if you are going to be going to the parks for multiple days, I would and you are a fan of popcorn, I need to preface that. I would highly, highly recommend getting one of the Souvenir Buckets. So they usually have two different types of Souvenir Buckets. They have like the fancy one that is like the it one at the moment that you probably see people posting about all over Instagram. And then they have like a smaller one that's more just like a little bucket with like a lid. And the one that's more like a little bucket, I want to say that those are usually about 10 or 12. But those allow you to get $2 popcorn refills. I'm not sure how that's working right now because I haven't been to the park since they reopened after being closed. But my family, we got one of the little, like the bucket ones, like the smaller ones, early last year. And then because we're annual pass holders, we go probably about once a month. And it was a while before they changed out the design. So we didn't have to buy a new bucket every trip. We could just bring the same bucket, and it was still the bucket that they were using. And so we were able to get refills. I never worked as a outdoor foods cast member, but just being in the parks as a guest, I have never seen an outdoor foods cast member refuse the $2 refill to anyone based on their bucket. I mean, I don't know, maybe if it was super old they would, but like our bucket, like for all of last year, we were able to get the $2 refills. So that if you're a popcorn fan like my family is, that is a huge savings because you kind of make that commitment to buy the bucket once, and then you get cheap popcorn for like all the rest of the times that you go. My fourth tip, so I'm not a huge fan of Disney table service meals. I'm not a big foodie in general, and so I usually find that quick service meals are just fine for me. And my favorite quick service place in terms of value is Pecos Bill in Magic Kingdom. When I was a cast member, on the days when I would go to on my off days when I would go to the parks, I would always go to Pecos and I would get a side of tortilla chips, and I would just like load them up because at the toppings bar you used to be able to put however much that you wanted. And so I would get like a side of tortilla chips for like $2 or $3, and then I would just load it with all kinds of toppings and make like massive nachos that would have me full for the whole day. Granted, I'm not sure how the topping bars are working right now because of COVID, and that would be a high touch area. So that's something that I'll check out on my trip in 2 weeks, and I report back on that in one of my future videos. But that was when I was a cast member, and it was like not quite payday, and I like wanted to go to the parks to play, and like I didn't want to pack a lunch with me. Pecos for a side of chips and like loading on the toppings was my go-to meal. I know there have been times when I've gone when they had gotten rid of the side of tortilla chips, and so what I did instead was I got the kids meal nachos, and then just loaded it up with all kinds of toppings. And honestly, I feel like Disney kids meals are big enough to, unless you're like starving, I usually find that the Disney kids meals are enough to fill me up. So for all intents and purposes, it's a great way to save money because the kids meals are a lot cheaper than the adults meals, and honestly some of the portion sizes of the adult meals are huge. So again, unless you're sharing or unless you're starving, it's probably more economical to get the kids meal. So those are my tips. There is one thing that I really want to warn you about though. So if you are driving into Florida, you probably see all of those billboards that say like cheap tickets, like get discounted Disney tickets. Be very, very, very wary of those. I would say avoid them at all costs, because the way that they usually do that, don't come for me to get businesses, but the way that they usually do that, or at least the way that I have seen them do that, because one of the positions that I had when I worked at Disney, I worked in guest relations, and we were, if there was like a problem with like the fingerprint scan or something, like if there was a problem with that, then which is technically not a fingerprint scan, but I don't want to go into all that. But anyway, so if there was a problem with that, then they would call us over, like the gaming entrance people would call us over, and we would take a look at the ticket, and usually what we found was that the ticket had already been used by someone else, and there's legalese on the ticket that once someone has used it, you can't give it to someone else. I don't know if that is not happening as much because of magic bands, because magic bands were still in their infancy when I worked in guest relations, but a lot of the ways that those like cheap scammy ticket places get you those discounted tickets is because it might be a multi-day ticket and maybe someone used one day, and so they'll sell it to you as like maybe it's like a 5-day and someone used one day or whatever, and they'll sell it to you as like a 4-day, and then you get to the parks and you can't use that ticket at all because it's already been used. So be very, very wary of anybody that promises you something too good to be true, especially if it's like a super cheap ticket. There aren't very many ways to get legit discounted tickets. I know that when I was a cast member, we used to be able to purchase discounted tickets from Company D. So if you have a cast member friend, they might be able to purchase you a discounted ticket. I don't know if that's still a thing. And also, if you are military, a lot of military bases, you can get discounted tickets there. My dad's a former Marine, and so he used to. So before we started going as frequently as we do, and before we got annual passes, he used to just go down to the military base and he would get like discounted park hoppers for us. And also, if you are military, you can get military tickets at Shades of Green, which is like the military hotel at Disney World. So again, there's not very many authentic ways, I should say, to get a discounted Disney park ticket. And even those discounted park tickets, they save you a little bit, but it's not like half the price like those ticket billboards advertise. If you ever see anybody offering a Disney ticket that is too cheap, I can promise you it is a scam. It's not a workable ticket, and you're gonna get to the gate and realize that you're out of all of that money that you spent on that ticket because it does not function. So anyway, those are my little tips about how to potentially save money at Disney World. Again, they're not anything earth-shattering, but I hope that I'm able to help, even if it's only in a small way. And I will be back with more ASMR / soft-spoken Disney videos. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye!